Hello, and welcome to the 97th episode of the SheGulls podcast, powered by Albion Obsessed, the one and only podcast dedicated to Brighton Hove Albion women's football team. I'm your host, Duncan, and today I'm joined by fellow Albion fans, Claire. Hello, Claire.
Hello, Duncan.
And by Ben. Hello, Ben.
Hello, Duncan.
I was waiting until you moved
again.
me.
Yes,
I felt very
exactly.
weird being up there.
It did. And obviously, we've got the little SheGulls. If you're watching, you'll see the little SheGulls logo in the bottom corner. But Abby isn't with us today. So we thought, now everyone's in, now everyone's engaged, now everyone's watching. Let's pop her on the screen for a little bit. Just, we can't forget that she's, she's on holiday. She's taking some time away. To rest and relaxation, but she's here in spirit. So we'll leave her there for a few minutes, and then when I remember,
still contemplating that last question you gave her.
She's still puzzled as to how we lost against Spurs on the weekend. Yes. So bumper episode today, sort of, maybe. There's lots of different topics. Maybe not as many we're going to dive into too deeply. Because we are going to save a lot of the FA Cup talk for next week's podcast, which will kind of be like an FA Cup special. We'll try and do lots of chatting about who we think is going to start, what's going to happen, the day itself, how we're involved. Maybe we'll do some crazy predictions. Maybe I'll come up with some sort of game.
I think we should play Chankovic again.
Chankety Chank.
Yeah.
I think an FA Cup edition. Yeah, an FA Cup edition. I like that.
So,
I like that. It has been a while.
I think you should make a new jingle up with it as well. Get it properly.
Yeah. Get some. Done. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good shout. Duly noted. So yeah, we're going to talk about the Spurs game first. Then we're going to go back and revisit our bold predictions from the beginning of the season, which I think for the most part will have been decided. I don't know that there were many, if any, that were related to the FA Cup final. If they were, that was a very good bold prediction.
Yeah.
So we're going to chat about those, and then we're going to talk about our fan awards, which we were able to present one of at the stadium on the weekend. So we'll just go through those, who's won those fan voted awards ahead of our own awards show later down the line. Maybe episode 100, maybe a little bit later. We're not sure. We will find out. But yes, back to the Spurs game. That's the topic in hand. A bit flat, I thought, all round. We're going to obviously dive into it deeper, but we did lose the game 2-1. Both goals coming sort of late on, somewhat against the run of play, I would say, but certainly the first one. So yeah, we were all left, a little bit. That's what I'd describe it as. What would you describe it as, Claire?
I thought it was a little bit shit, really, weren't it? Sorry, River. Close your ears.
Oh, he loves them.
I mean,
he loves that.
Look, it didn't really matter at the end of the day. You want them to win. I want them to win every game. I wanted them to thrash them. Sometimes you don't get what you want. And, I'd rather it was this game than next week's game. So, hopefully we've got all our little errors and silly mistakes and just losing focus and not paying attention. That's all gone and is done with. And now we can get on with preparing for the biggie. But yeah, it was a bit just, I don't know, it just felt like an end of season game where no one's really got much to play for and kind of minds are on something else maybe, and they just didn't really show up. And also I don't like the AMEX, to be fair. I think at the moment we don't have the capacity to put any amount of atmosphere in there, and it just feels dead. And you've got the usual kind of away crowd who are trying to get some noise created, but nobody else seems to cotton on that they're supposed to join in, and it just feels flat in the stand. And then obviously it needs the players on the pitch to do something then to get the fans going, which they did. Maddie gets that goal and everybody was up a little bit, but it was still a bit flat. And I just felt like everybody was kind of like, oh, we're just here to see out the season. And then the big one's the one we're all waiting for. So it's all right.
Yeah, I must admit, the closest I would say I've come this season to a similar atmosphere would have been the game we lost 3-0 to Chelsea. Obviously, in that game, we got soundly beaten, whereas this one we go 1-0 up. Obviously, end up losing 2-1, but it had the same sort of feeling about it, like there was something bubbling under the surface, or just something that kind of took a bit of the energy away from it all. And I what it was when we played Chelsea, I'm not quite sure. I think it's probably more obvious in this case what it would have been. So we've got that FA Cup final. I don't think anyone's pulling out of challenges or anything like that, but you've got to have it in the back of your mind that if you
it wasn't because you looked at someone. Fran run her socks off. You'd have thought that was an FA Cup game for Fran.
Yeah.
He was running around, and they were all doing their bit. It just wasn't coming off. There was just that last little thought that was just missing from the pass, or balls were just hit and miss, and where they would have gone to a player perfectly last week, this week they just was slightly short or too far, or and it just felt like everybody was just off the pace, just a couple of seconds, and it was enough that it meant Spurs could get back into the game. And it's just two annoying goals because they were both
they're both preventable. Absolutely.
It's just annoying, but it's what it is.
Ben, what did you make of the performance overall?
Yeah, it's just not with a bang, with a whimper, isn't it? Yeah. I think it. As you say, I think the whole afternoon felt a bit flat for me, and I think Claire's right about the AMEX. It's a beautiful stadium, but when you only fill like a quarter of it, it's just there's no atmosphere, and obviously I think that's strange as well because the tickets were supposedly sold, but it didn't. It's difficult to tell when you're sitting down, but when you see the sort of stands on the telly, they're really patchy. When they were apparently sold out. So I don't know where everybody was, or whether they actually had sold them or not. I don't know. Whether they just decided they would try and spread a crowd around a bit more. But it reminded me a lot actually of Villa away last year on the last day of the season. Because we literally just come off beating Arsenal 4-2, and we were on such a high, and then expectation, Villa are rubbish, we're going to hammer them, and just didn't happen there either. I think there's an interesting statistic that we actually haven't won the last game of the WSL season since we beat Bristol City in 2021.
Yeah.
And I don't think Tottenham have lost any of the last 5 either. So would have been nice to have shut that hoodoo off. But as Claire said, stuff just didn't work. And passes were falling short, and things were this, that, and the other. I think the first half was very scrappy from both sides, really.
It was.
But they had some fairly good chances. They had a very good one-on-one with, I think it was Vinberg against Baggers, which Baggers did a really great cheer save, came out to her and reacted to it and stuff. But otherwise, most of their chances were pretty speculative. But then I think we came out of the second half and were much, much better than them for 20, 25 minutes. And obviously Maddie got the goal after about 3 or 4 minutes of the second half. And we looked fairly comfortable. And then on, just after the hour, or just 65, 70 minutes or so, it just kind of started going wrong again. I think obviously Fran had gone off, and Charlie actually went off as well, which is quite worrying because she went up for a ball and landed, didn't look, it's difficult to see what she's done, but she basically landed badly and looked like she'd done something to her calf, which was quite worrying. But Maylis and Nadine came on and did nothing wrong particularly. Obviously, might come to their goals, but the game sort of seemed to change on that point, really. And then Tottenham kind of started getting quite physical. And there was an incident, particularly on 66 minutes, where Maisie did this wonderful bit of skill on the far touchline, actually quite annoyingly, because it was difficult to see it. But you could, even from the other side of the pitch, you could see how fantastic it was. And then she basically got dragged down by Ella Morris, which, it was a yellow. It should have been a straight red, basically, and a lifetime ban, because Maisie was just doing something and Ella Morris spoilt it. But that sort of seemed to sort of kick off a really niggly phase, where from the resulting free kick, Drew Spence went down faking a head injury. And I don't normally accuse players of cheating, but that was faking. And actually, Caitlin got booked for saying she was faking, or saying something about the fact that she was faking it, because the Tottenham physios made no pretense at doing any sort of concussion check on her. And it just sort of and then I think again the big difference for Tottenham was when Beth England came on, and I think they'd had quite a lot of promising attacks, but their chances hadn't been great. But Beth England just sort of injected something into their forward line, and they got their 2 goals, and we'll probably talk about those at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think you're right. I don't know whether it's because of the substitutions or whether it just happened to be sort of in coincidence with the timing of the substitutions, but it seemed to disrupt the team as much as they'd gained momentum in that second half. It felt like it took some of the impetus away, and we had to start almost afresh. And Spurs, they kept doing what they were doing, and then they started to make inroads.
It was more disruptive than usual.
Yeah, it was. We talked a lot about how we've played like a game of 2 halves. In this one, it was weirdly, the first half was sort of 50-50. The second half was 50-50, but not in terms of like equal, both teams were going at it. It was almost like Brighton had the better of the first half of the second half. Spurs had the better of the second half of the second half. And obviously, normally speaking, if we don't have such a good first half, the halftime team talk is a good time to put into plan some tweaks and tactical changes and stuff. Whereas we weren't, obviously, we go 1-0 up. We weren't able to really kind of make any tweaks once they made theirs to kind of counter it. And also, I think obviously there were the 2 goals kind of come indirectly from, well, one was more indirect than the other, but they're both giving the ball away in your own half needlessly. And you can't really legislate for that per se, can you? Because those are mistakes that shouldn't be made. Occasionally they are made, and sometimes you can rescue them. But in this case, we just couldn't, we couldn't kind of wrestle back control before they were able to put the ball in the net. But I'm glad you mentioned about Beth England, Ben. I think what I would say that she did is she brought some finesse to their attacks. They were a bit sort of blood and thunder up till then, and especially, like you say, towards the end, they were getting very physical. But particularly with the first goal, she gets possession from Mylease from a loose pass, and then it's head up, who's making the runs, and she just plays a really good ball out to the right-hand side. And it was just almost that element of composure, of professionalism, of having been there and done that for,
experience,
I don't know, probably a decade. Yeah. And that was what they needed, because they were kind of like a bit rough and ready up until then. And that really seemed to change it. What did you think of Spurs overall, Claire? Did was there any players that really stood out to you, or, what did you think about sort of Beth England once she did come on?
Well, I mean, obviously she was trying to make an impact at her new ground, but
of course,
I'm just saying. I didn't think that they really did anything inspiring. They were there for the taking. We just couldn't get the ball in the net in that first half, because I think if we'd have got a goal early, I think we would have gone on to beat them 4-0, but we just couldn't get the ball. And sometimes those games are the ones where they're like, it doesn't matter what you do, you start to feel like we can't win this. It starts to kind of get into your mindset then, doesn't it? It's like, everything we do, we can't win this. And then we get the goal and you think, right, now all you've got to do is just see this out now. Get another one if you can, see it out. And it just, like you say, after sort of like 75 minutes, it all just seemed to fall apart. And for whatever reason. But I don't know. I don't really want to like have a go at them, because I don't feel like they did anything majorly wrong. It just wasn't happening. just wasn't happening. And then we've got something much bigger to worry about. So,
Yeah, it's got to be sort of some combination, lesser or greater, of the kind of real high of last week.
Yeah.
Coming down off that, but then also knowing that you've got this big game ahead. It feels like this game almost came in a bit of a valley between the two
it feels like to me it was one of those games where it just showed, like, from the beginning of the season what we're missing.
Yeah.
And that was Beth England, or a player like her in the squad that we could have brought on at that point to settle things down and to take us through it. And so, we're in the exciting part now. We've got a cup final, and then it's all about new transfers and stuff. And that'll be just really exciting to see who we get now, because I think there's plenty of players available who will be moving around, and with them moving around, other players will be moving around to make room for them. So, somewhere along the line, we are going to pick up the players that we need this summer, I think. And that makes it very, very exciting for next year. So I think that's all I'm going to concentrate on now, is go focus on where we are going rather than where we've been, because I think this season was it had highs and lows. It had some fantastic highs, like no one's going to argue with that, but some of the sort of not having a striker for most of the season has been a massive impact for us. There's games that actually I think we would have won had we had a Beth England easily, and we would be possibly up in that top 4 spot, or at least pushing for it. But it is what it is. Yeah, we just have to move on.
Yeah, maybe it was, obviously less so maybe the players coming on, but once Fran goes off, you have lost that kind of person who is going to give that sort of veteran, leadership and accountability and stuff. I think indirectly it would be good if you had someone, if you were going to have to take a player like that off, who could either stay on or come on. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
but to be fair though, listening to Fran was on a podcast with Leanne Sanderson earlier, and she was saying, like last season, that's exactly how it felt. Like it was all on her and Yelly to be the experience and to be the ones that got everyone through it. And actually this year, other players have come through and taken on that mantle and gone with it. So I think that's why there has been better performances, because Fran doesn't always play the whole 90 minutes. She has had to go off at some points because, we're not going to risk her when we don't need to. And players have stepped up. But I just think on Saturday, it just didn't happen. And that's, how it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben, let's sort of chat through the goals then. As I say, the first one it sort of starts where Mylease gets caught.
We're not going to do that one first.
Oh yeah, of course. I forgot what order they all happened in. Yeah.
Got two.
Yes. Let's start with ours. I mean, it was a really good piece of play to get the ball out to Kiko in space. She takes on Amanda Nilden, formerly of the Albion. Although Claire was telling me, I shan't recant the story, but she had a little bit of a falling out on the way out.
I was going to say, apparently she always plays a bit extra harder against us.
Yes. So Kiko put her on roller skates, basically, shoots across the goal, low and hard, which Lee's Cop saves.
Partly but because it goes straight through Toko Koga's legs.
Yeah, that always helps, doesn't it, to sort of distract them from being able to get two hands on it and keep it nice and tight. But yeah, she sort of parries the ball not very far, but to her side where Maddie's waiting and is able to react quickest to sort of poke it in. So yeah, what did you make of that goal? Is that kind of, that feels like the type of goal we should score more of, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I always say those are the best goals, because those are the ones that you want to be getting 2 or 3 a game of. 20-yard top bins jobs are great, but they're few and far between. The bread and butter goals are the ones that we've missed sort of all these years. I was going to say, it feels like years. I think as I said last week, Olivia Garcia scored twice for AIK. One of them was a top bin screamer, and one of them was a tap in, and the tap in was the most pleasing one. yeah, I mean, it was a great move as well. I mean, front to back. I think it's Moeko gives it to Fran in the centre circle. She just plays Kiko into the Kiko channel. Kiko, yeah, like you say, just turns Nilden inside out and gets a. It wasn't the best shot in the world, but obviously it was just too fizzy for Lisa Kopp to handle. And yeah, and I think Maddie hadn't scored it. Ola Slagers was standing next to her. So, glad they didn't fall over each other. But yeah, it was great, and it was, you know, said it was only sort of 3 or 4 minutes after into the second half. So
it was a good time to score.
We go, you know,
yeah.
Game of 2 halves as usual. We've started off the good half well, so it was great. And I think that was the point as well. You know, the stadium was a bit flat. That kind of lifted the stadium, and so things were a bit livelier for a little while after that as well. So all good.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that was what we've said it many times before. Ultimately, the fans, the majority of fans, you know, we've got the atmosphere section and the away support, you know, who will kind of generate their own chants and excitement and stuff, and try to feed that out to everyone. But obviously at the Amex, that's particularly difficult. It can be difficult at Broadfield sometimes as well. But when you score a goal, that's when you get the excitement up. And I think it's just it's nothing to do with the team per se, but the earlier you score and then the better you play, the more you're going to keep the crowd with you. And I think the fact there wasn't a goal in the first half, and actually it was Tottenham who probably had the majority of the shots. I think everyone was kind of a little bit, I don't want to say like lulled to sleep a little bit, like they were waiting for something to happen. Then, you know, Maddie gets the goal and it's like, yeah, but then we're waiting for more. It felt like everyone was waiting, right? I said this in my match report. It's like, floodgates are open now, but they weren't. So everyone kind of went back to, all right, well, I hope we do score another one in a minute. You know, and then, you know, that obviously what happens. But there was obviously a good sort of, you know, it wasn't until I think the 81st or 82nd. I always get confused when they write 81 minutes, whether it was the 81st minute or, you know, all that jazz. But yeah, obviously there was a good period there where you would have liked to think that Brighton were going to kind of push on and go, right, we're 1-0 up. Come on. You know, they've got nothing to play for. They literally couldn't go up or down a spot. You know, let's put them to the sword. Let's finish them off. But it just didn't happen. And then they go and get the second goal, Ben. So yeah, take us. The second goal in the game there first. So take us through that one.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was again almost a comedy of errors. I think, you know, there's Maylis was sort of battling for it in midfield and wins it off them, but then sort of plays it back sort of towards Caitlin, I think. And again, it's, you know, just one of the pass is a bit short, a bit light. Is intercepted again. I wonder if they struggled a bit with the surface, because obviously they do train on surfaces like that, but they're used to playing at Broadfield, which is a different surface. So maybe they struggled a bit with that. I don't know. But yeah, and it's just intercepted, and suddenly Tottenham's running at us, and we're a little bit out of shape. Gets over to Lena Gunning-Williams on the right. And she puts a sort of fairly averagey sort of cross in that's intercepted by Maisie, but then suddenly Maisie gets it stuck under her feet, can't move, turns around, hits it straight at I can't remember who it was now. Was it Blackstad or someone? I can't remember who it was.
Yeah,
I think it might have been. Yeah,
it's like ping pong.
It sat up really nicely,
and then it hits Olivia Holt, and it looks from a lot of angles like it hits Olivia Holt on the arm. I mean, not like Brian Mwembo, but Brian Mbay. Hang on, I can't pronounce his name suddenly.
Mbomo.
Brian. It's not quite Brian Mbomo putting it under his arm and running off with it, sort of thing. But it looks like it hits her arm. But yeah, whatever. And then she just turns around and smacks it in, basically. And it's sort of, it's like, obviously there's like the error from Maylis, but that was still 40 yards out when that happened. So there was sort of just almost like what could go wrong did go wrong all the way in. You know, just Maisie tries to clear it and it just happens to hit, whatever Blackstad or whoever the Tottenham player was, and then it just happens to bounce off her onto Holt, and if she handballed it, whatever, the ref didn't see it. And again, it's that whole thing. It wouldn't be a handball normally because it was like, the ball pinged at her from short distance. But if you score directly from it, as Brian and Burmo will tell you, it shouldn't be a goal. But well, I don't know. It did anyway. But obviously, it was just one of those things. Just everything seemed to go wrong all at once, and it just lands perfectly for Holt, and she smacks it in. So a comedy of errors. Although not quite as much as later on.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I must admit I'm not a fan of the way they keep tinkering around with the handball rules. I think one of the things they should have kept, and I will probably go to my grave thinking the same thing, is whether you deliberately or accidentally handle the ball, if you score as a direct result or very soon afterwards, the goal should be disallowed.
Yeah.
Because it has touched your hand, which is not allowed deliberately or accidentally.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times it is accidental handball. But if you gain an advantage by the ball striking your hand, i.e. you don't know it's there, but you pat it right in front of you and tap it in, that should be disallowed, in my opinion. And that always was, or that had been the rule for a long, long time. And now they've gone back to, did they do it deliberately? Did they?
Well, I don't know that they have, because Mbomo's goal should they've now PGMO are saying should have been disallowed.
Yeah, because it was but it wasn't like it was from like a distance, and he puts his hand out and he almost like tries to trap it with his hand.
Yeah. Well, no, but they're saying it's an accidental handball, nothing he could have done about it, and it wouldn't have been handball. It wouldn't have been a free kick anywhere else on the pitch or whatever. But because they scored from it, the goal should have been disallowed.
Yeah.
So I think the rule still stands.
But I think that was an actual handball. I don't think Holt's was a handball in the sense of it was a foul per se, but just this thing of like, if it flipped, there's been quite a few recently. I mean, there was the one in the Celtic Hearts game where they got a penalty when the guy's got his hand up and it kind of hits, you can't see whether it hits his hand or his head. Like, I just think if the ball touches your hand and you gain any advantage, it doesn't matter whether you're an inch away, 10 yards away, 30 yards away, the goal should be disallowed. It shouldn't be, did you do this? Did you do that? Is it subjective? No. If it's in the act of scoring a goal, it should be disallowed.
Yeah. But because I'm not
otherwise
entirely sure it did.
Otherwise you can, I mean, if it didn't, it didn't. But and obviously VAR wouldn't. We haven't got VAR, so it kind of, it is what it is. But I just think, it puts a lot of pressure on referees to make these subjective decisions with handballs. And that's actually one where you could have a definitive rule, which is if it touches a hand and then a goal is scored, it's disallowed. It doesn't matter whether it was accidental, deliberate, 5 yards, et cetera, et cetera. You're putting it back in the realm of, well, the referee will decide what happens. And I don't like that, because the referee is not of a good standard in the WSL. So, we'll probably have a little chat about that in a minute. But yes, so they get it back to 1-1, and Ben, take us through the final goal that put us to the sword there.
Dear. I mean, I think again it was 1-1, and you're sort of thinking, well, fair enough, a point,
It probably was,
and at that point as well.
Yeah.
I think it was either 1-0 or it might have still been 1-1 between Villa and London City. So we were like, well, we're still sixth. And I mean, they get 92nd minute or something. They had I think it was a corner. The ball comes in, we get it out, and Rose is basically charging up the pitch with Jelly Chankovic is beside her, and she basically just runs into trouble and gives it away. And we're coming out, and I think Moeka again. I hope she's okay, because she had she tackled Gaupse, I think it was, in midfield, and almost looked like she twisted something in the impact. So I don't know if she was coming out slowly because she was a bit limpy, because I very much hope not. But she was a bit left behind. So the ball, basically I think it was Drew Spencer again, just pumps the ball over. And Moeka is playing Beth England onside. Baggers comes miles out of her goal. You think, good girl, learn a lot of stuff from Chia, sweeper keeper. Chuck it into Rosette then, Baggers. but instead of chucking it into Rosette or booting it into Rosette, Baggers basically plays a pass along the ground, presumably aimed at a teammate, but it just goes straight to Toka Kogar, who I know Tottenham away wasn't the first game of the season, but basically neatly bookended our season by willying it in from 40 yards. And it was just one of those. And again, it was just comedy of errors. Just Rosa should have given the ball away. Should have either squared it to Yelly or pumped it down the wing and chased it or whatever. I don't know, but she just tried to beat too many players and lost it. And then, whether or not, because obviously Caitlin had gone off by then. I think she went off just after they'd equalised. So she's normally there organising the defence, and the defence wasn't being organised. So Beth England is onside, and then Baggers just passes it to us on the player. So it's just,
yeah, like you say, it was
the annoying thing with that for me was that Spurs tried that 2 or 3 times. Right? Did nobody think, this is one of their tactics? They know that if they can get one in from outside the box and it's over the top of Baggers, she's not getting it. So the whole thing was just frustrating, because that's what they're trying to do. If you give them any opportunity to shoot from long, they're going to do it. And then you, like you say, just hit it into Rosette. It will literally at the dying seconds, it goes out and you get a throw in, and then the ref's going to blow the whistle. Instead, you pass it straight through the middle, which she'd done several times before, which is why they were knocking it straight back in at her, and it's just like, oh, God's sake. God's sake. Just kick it. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, and I think that's why, I was actually going to ask you a little bit about Baggers, Claire. Obviously, that was the main change, really. I would say the rest of the team was pretty much, I mean, the rest of the team, it was a full strength 11, pretty much. I'm pretty sure it was a full strength 11, except that Baggers played instead. Do you think in the nicest possible way she did herself any favors playing in that game? Because there were some good moments.
She had some some of her shot stopping is unreal. You can't knock her for it. She's a good goalkeeper. But there are those, like I say, the long range shots. She's just not tall enough, or doesn't have enough spring in her step to get up there and get it. And so if they can curl one into a corner, she's never stopping it, just purely because of her size and build, and she doesn't have it. And no amount of being a good goalkeeper is going to give her an extra 3 inches. It's just not. It's not possible. And I think other teams know that, and that's where we've had our downfall with it. Because you send a corner in at close range and nod it down at her, she's getting a leg to it, an arm to it. She can put her body in it. She'll stop that ball.
Yeah.
But anything long range, and we're in trouble. And I think, I don't know why Chia didn't play yesterday. Whether that was just to rest, or whether it was even a goodbye match for Baggers. Who knows? Do you know what I mean? We don't know, because I think she is out of contract now. So there's been no announcement that she signed a new one. So one is expecting she might be one of the players that leaves this summer. I don't know. Maybe it was just a nice way of letting her have that last game. I don't know. But
Charlie's
it's unfortunate it ended that way, because I think up until that point she'd done all right as in goal and was in it. So just frustrating for her as much as us.
So Charlie's saying in the comments that that Chia seems to have had some sort of hand injury at Man United that she might well have sort of exacerbated at Liverpool. But I do think, I mean, if she was injured, then they would have also surely put Hannah Poulter on the bench.
You would think.
So, because if Chia's injured, then you don't want to bring her on if Baggers gets injured or whatever. So,
and also
it did feel like a bit of a sort of, thank you. Sort of thing.
Well, and also Chia played against Arsenal, which we shouldn't forget was only like 4 days after Man United. And I was shocked she played in that game.
Yeah.
It was good that she did, but if there was a game I thought they might go, do you know what? She had this thing at Man United where I don't know whether it was the ball sort of injured her hand or the dive, and then she caught a bit of the turf with her hand, something like that. It sort of jarred her hand, I think. And Dario, I asked Dario about it in the pre-match for Arsenal, and he was kind of saying, you know, it's been a bit sore, but she's okay. And I thought, okay, sore but okay probably tells me she won't play against Arsenal, but she'll come back for Liverpool. But she played them both. So I don't know. I don't know if you play her against Arsenal that quick after Man United if you think she's really seriously done something. But you know, who knows at the end of the day. I think more than likely that is Bagger's farewell to the Brighton fans.
I think so. But I mean, that was weird though. That it was the last game of the season, and it didn't really feel like anyone was saying goodbye. Like
no.
But then that could be because they don't want to get into that mindset because there is another game and it's a big one at Wembley, and that will be the one where maybe they say goodbye and do whatever. But it felt quite kind of, even that felt flat at the end.
Like, it did.
They didn't really come over and sign pictures and photos and things like that. It was all quite, a few of them did, but it didn't really feel like they was ending their season, if you know what I mean.
No.
Which I kind of like.
I just think it was a bit of a shame in the sense that I think there was kind of talk beforehand about a sort of I mean, there's no point in doing a lap of appreciation because there isn't anyone on 3/4 of the sides of the ground. But like, I don't know, I expected a little bit more, a little bit, but I think that was just what happened in the game. I think they were annoyed that they lost, which I think is absolutely fair enough. But I think that the sort of slight disconnect comes where if I'm a new fan and maybe I'm thinking about going to the FA Cup final, or maybe I've got my FA Cup final tickets and I thought, well, I'll rock up to this game, see what it's all about, get to know some of the players. It didn't really sell what I feel like we're all about.
Yeah.
You know, and that's from all angles. That's the atmosphere, that's the, you know, the from the fans, that's from the players. It felt like a bit of it felt like it should be a celebration, and it kind of just ended up a bit of a damn squib. Yeah, and it's like, you know, I think we all wish it had gone a different way. It didn't. We can't help that. You know, we have to move on to the FA Cup final and kind of look at that as we almost have to forget that ever happened. But I think that is a shame because it should have been a moment where we remember that almost as much as some of the other things that have happened this season.
I do wonder though if like this is part of the like mindset change that we're seeing with the players, because I think it's happened a few times now where, like I always used to say it with Fran, if we win, we've had a good result, Fran always comes out and says hello to the fans and does all the photos. But if we haven't, she's gone. She's like, no, I'm not having anything to do with that. And it kind of feels like that has almost spread through the whole team now. So whereas we could have got beaten 3-0 and they'd still come over all happy smiles and, oh, it's nice to see you and blah, blah, blah. Now they're not. And I just wonder if that's a little bit of a like, yeah, no, we didn't turn up. And so we're not going to go over and, you know, be all happy with the fans when we're not happy about that.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I completely agree. I think that is what it is. I think they were disappointed in their performance, and I think they were disappointed they couldn't give the fans who had turned up kind of the performance that they would want to kind of send everyone off. But I just think if you were a new fan going that day, you wouldn't necessarily have come away with this real like buzz of like, oh, I need to be involved in this, or there's this incredible thing happening, and you know, etc. And I know that, you know, we've got plenty of years now to come until we get the new stadium, but I don't know, it just feels like I just wanted there to be a little bit more to try and get people to come and to stay, you know. And that's the thing with the FA Cup.
I think if the game had been at the Broadfield, I think we would have had a much better atmosphere. It would probably feel like a full house almost, because I think we would still got 4,000 at Broadfield for this game. You know, even if you didn't get that extra 2,000 that went to Brighton, I think you'd still have got quite a lot turned up just simply because we're on a roll and we're in a cup final and we've got people excited. And 4,000 people at the Broadfield with the atmosphere section leading it would have been noisy.
Yeah.
We'd have got it all going. And I think even if we'd have lost, people that were new to the game that maybe had turned up would have gone, well, at least it was fun.
Yeah, I think we win. I think we win that game at Broadfield.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that at all. Anything else we want to cover on Spurs? Ben, did you want to have a quick?
Forget about it.
Ben wants to have a quick word about the ref, so we'll let him have a quick word about the ref.
Yeah, I mean, Stacey Pearce again. I think she must be the most inconsistent ref in the entire world universe. Yeah, I just terrible. I mean, just, you know, obviously she's most famous for booking Rachel McLaughlin for not using the ball on the cone, and I did wonder whether she booked Caitlin Hayes for making a sarcastic comment on Rachel McLaughlin's Instagram about not using the ball on the cone. But yeah, just absolutely terrible. And there were just so many moments in it. You just look at it and think, she's what? She's not apparently. Yeah, there was one. I mean, basically, there was one. It was Holt, actually, Olivia Holt. Basically, Maddie's still in our half, but sort of starts powering away up the left. And Olivia Holt just comes in on the side of her. And I'm not going to say, I don't think she deliberately forearm smashed her in the face, but she did forearm smash her in the face. But she deliberately didn't go for the ball and just took Maddie out. We didn't even get a free kick for that one. And just so many things that, just stuff she missed and stuff she just didn't penalise, and stuff she did penalise that was nothing, and just awful. You know, if we never have her for another game, it'll be too soon, basically.
Yeah, it is that inconsistency, isn't it? You can feel hard done by, but it's almost lessened if both teams feel hard done by. Whereas when you feel like it's your team that's taking the beating and you're just not, you know, I think I said at one point early in the first half, or I say early in the first half, some way through the first half, she'd let a lot go. And I think I might have said to you, Claire, there comes a point where a foul is a foul. You can't just play through every single foul. Like, sometimes you have to blow the whistle and say, no, you can't keep doing that.
I think the thing was, she wasn't even acknowledging that it was a foul and she was playing on. That's the thing for me. If she'd have been acknowledging it and saying, I'm playing on, then you at least, okay, well, if you've acknowledged that was a foul, so if they keep doing that, you're going to eventually book them or stop the game. And she was just very frustrating. She was just, her decision making didn't make any sense. It was all over the place. She'd stop it for one foul, and then 2 seconds later, someone would do exactly the same foul and get away with it. And then she would book somebody for something, and then she wouldn't book another one. And if you're going to do, I don't care how you referee it the same way for everybody.
Yeah.
And we're all good with it.
But there was so many times where she played where Tottenham fouled one of our players. You know, it wasn't like even if it wasn't a particularly dirty one, but she just waved play on like she's playing advantage, but we haven't got an advantage.
Yeah.
There was one time where she was basically, you know, I think quite early on, Fran got fouled just outside their box. And she waved play on because we got advantage, and Tottenham got the ball back a pass later. And it's like, well, we haven't got an advantage, have we? You know, what more advantage could we have than a free kick on the edge of their box? And I think she even played advantage when we were basically on the edge of our own box and somebody fouled us. It's like, well, you know, we're still in our own half. We haven't got the advantage. And like I said, it's just ridiculous, inconsistent nonsense. And like I said, and Tottenham, you know, again, they'll do what they can get away with, but they started getting physical sort of after 20 minutes or so into the second half.
Yeah, I think they realised they weren't going to get penalised, so they might as well have a go.
Yeah. She booked the first couple, but then just let everything else go after that. It was like, I'm setting an example, but then I'm not going to follow the example. It was just. Oh. I was going to say unbelievable, but she was like that when I think it was Everton at Broadfield when she booked Rachel McLaughlin that time. I just. Oh.
Yeah, it's infuriating, isn't it? Because we just want the games to be fair. You know, we're not saying they should be one way or another, or dictating what each referee should say is a foul or not a foul. We're just saying apply the same sort of level of decision making from the first whistle to the final whistle.
Yeah.
You know, and that's all we're saying. And the trouble is, if they're not doing that, then why are they not doing that? It's either some sort of unconscious bias, it's incompetence, or they can't physically handle the decision making throughout the 90-minute game. And all of those should be cause to look at, why can't you do that then?
Yeah.
I mean, there was I think it's not like, you know, it's not like the reverse fixture where Ryan Atkins just doesn't give that penalty.
Yeah.
You know, which, because that's, you know, that's like, I mean, we still should have won the game. We still should have won that game anyway. But that's the thing, you can say, well, obviously that was like this massive error that cost us. And there's some, so there's certain games where you can pinpoint that decision there cost us the match. There wasn't anything like that, but then you never know. It's the accumulation of things. You know, players that she didn't book then make risky challenges later on.
Yes, exactly.
And just all kinds of just absolutely did my head in. And you know, like I said, I mean, because Maddie was just getting booted all over the place and not getting, you know, the other stuff about Olivia Smith needs protection, but they need protection from the referees, in that referees need to give fouls, give free kicks when they're fouled, you know, and she just wasn't. Like I said, that when Holt took her out and she had to go off, you know, she had to get treatment and go off the field, and then it took her ages to get back on again. And it was just, you know, that was a fine challenge apparently.
Yeah.
So it just.
Yeah, it needs addressing. I'm very, very. I'm hopeful. One of the things they'll bring in this off season is professional WSL referees, because I really do think that needs to happen, and then I think we can start holding them a little bit more accountable at that point. And hopefully it might even attract new talent, new women's, because actually a lot of the female referees, and when I say female referees, I mean for the female game, it's men and women. I'm not saying it's female referees. It's the referees in the female game. A lot of them have been there a long time, and it sort of feels like some of them, the game has passed them by a little bit. You know, so, you know, hopefully, like I say, if we can get full-time refs, it will improve the standard in general. And then you might get a few other referees coming over, you know, talented referees coming from maybe the lower leagues of the men's game or whatever it may be, to try and, you know, raise the tide.
It becomes a proper career.
Yes.
For talented people coming up through the game, you know. There's that's one thing about the WSL. There are quite a lot of young refs, sort of, mostly women, but a few men as well. But there's a lot of sort of young women coming up through, and they, you know, they seem to be the better ones at the moment. And so, you know, if there can be a proper career for them, then they can only get better at it.
Yeah, exactly. Right, are we all done for Spurs?
Just one more thing. This is more about the broadcast than the game. Can we please stop having Jenna Scalacci as the co-commentator? Partly, I mean, she shouldn't. I've said this before about other people. She shouldn't be doing co-comments for Tottenham games, because she's a Tottenham legend, as it were, whatever, and she still works for Tottenham. And basically, she's waxing lyrical about every single time a Tottenham player did anything at all, and would basically know about Fran. You know, so. You know, if you're being employed to talk about a game, it's professional or whatever. Basically, doing your job is to know about both teams, and basically going through Wikipedia the day before the match is not knowing about both teams. And I mean, there were some hilarious mispronunciations of a lot of people, but if the bloke next to you has said Maisie Simons 500 times, you're just being rude and unprofessional by saying Maisie Simmons, which she was constantly. And it you know, it always gets on my wick. But if the bloke, you know, sometimes both commentators will get it wrong. But if the bloke sitting next to you is saying it right and you're still saying it wrong, then that's almost deliberate discourtesy, really, for me.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't think she's great at it anyway, but she shouldn't be doing Tottenham games because she's a Tottenham fan. and that shouldn't happen.
Yeah. Well, she was. I'm 99.9% sure she was the Yamagasawa or whatever it was, Hasegawa.
Yeah.
For when it was Yamashita. So not only
Yeah.
was it not the right Asian player, but she
Wasn't
butchered the
even
name
an
anyway.
Asian player.
Yeah, it's like, oh, God, man, like, and to be honest with you, this is not a dissimilar thing to the referees in terms of, I think a lot of the time the co-commentators, it's like, well, who's played for the club a few times and is available to do it, whereas actually the commentators who are worth their salt and who commentate on, say, WSL, but they also commentate on other things, Mike, our sort of friend of the pod, he messages me before Brighton games if he's commentating on them and asks me about the team, how they're playing, the type of things that they like to do. He knows all the pronunciations because he's part of a group of people who have a guide to like WSL name pronunciations and stuff. So there are people there. I mean, that's the main commentator rather than the co-commentator. But there are a lot of main commentators who make the same mistakes as the co-commentators. So I think, again, if we can start to get some sort of standards and practices in place and people start taking accountability for their own actions, going into games, being able to say the players' names.
In this day and age, sure.
Not just, like you say, not just turning up and going, oh, well, yeah, okay, well, this is how the player's name is spelt, so that must be how it's said, despite the several accents and all the sorts of things, and most of these players now, the point with the WSL is you can go on YouTube, probably just type in their name, you'll find some videos where either they've said their own name or someone from their own country said their name or whatever, or highlights just from the WSL, going back where you can hear other commentators saying their name. So, just turning up on the day and looking at the team sheet is just, it's got to be better.
I think part of it as well is sort of not laziness on the part of the broadcaster, but just sort of, they'll do or whatever.
To them. They don't really
it's a bit
care.
like when we played Arsenal at the Emirates this season, and it was live on the BBC, and the entire presentation team were ex-Arsenal players, and as was the co-commentator, and it's like, hello, other team on the pitch here, guys, and it's just, there's she knows Tottenham, she'll do, but she doesn't know Tottenham and Brighton, so get someone in that knows the WSL.
Yeah. Whereas in the men's game, you'd have one from each, wouldn't you? You'd have two presenters. One would be more for one team and one would be for the other.
You just wouldn't get away with it. I mean, Gary Neville, for example, love him or hate him, I watched a bit of the United game, and he was absolutely apoplectic that handball didn't get given. And that's his team.
Well, he's a defender, isn't he? So he sees it for what it is.
But he couldn't believe it. So, but that's the thing in the men's game, the standard is such that you will only be allowed to commentate on games if you can commentate on them in an unbiased way, or at least a semblance of an unbiased way. Of course, Gary Neville is always going to want United to win. Jamie Carragher's always going to want Liverpool to win, but they have to remain objective. Whereas almost in the women's game at the moment, it's like, well, who's available? Yeah, they'll do. And it's like, I'd almost rather have not an ex-player, but someone who could actually say the words and express their feelings and thoughts and tactics and stuff. It doesn't, to me, ex-player, it doesn't matter. I know that if they're a good ex-player, they'll be able to give me more insight. That's what matters to me. But if you can't get the insight because you're butchering people's names and, getting confused between the teams and all this sort of thing, then any insight that you have is completely discredited because it seems like you don't care. I just think they need to be more selective.
Like the Holt on Maddie incident, nobody questioned it. Nobody were like, that looked a bit of a fierce challenge. There was no questioning at all. Quite late on, again, Koga went in on Baggers, sort of arms first on back. Baggers caught a corner and she almost Nat Loftaused her into the goal. And there was a free kick, but nobody mentioned anything at all about the fact that she'd just done this foul or anything. It's just weird.
I
think it's just the sort of the whole standard of the broadcast has obviously gone up we used to sort of put up with like one camera on the top of the stand, showing the game. So we've, obviously it's come on a long way, but I think there's certain
still got a way to go.
That's still got a way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. There we go. We shall leave the Spurs game in the past where it belongs. The only thing I will just point out as it pertains to how the season ended is I think one of the things that sort of saddened me about it the most was it meant that we dropped a position in the league, and it also meant that we finished with a negative goal difference.
Yeah.
And I just think
untidy.
Being able to come sixth and kind of still say we're a top half team, and being able to have that real sort of what I would almost consider like a player's stat. Most fans won't care whether they're +1 or -1 or whatever. As a player, as a squad, there's a mentality thing of like, we don't want to let in more goals than we score, because that's not how you win leagues. It's not how you win cups. It's, so on and so forth. So I think that was almost, I almost didn't mind the losing. It was almost how it then played into the remainder of the, the table and stuff like that. So that almost put me on more of a downer than the actual result, because it felt like we deserved to hang on to sixth.
Well, also the fact that the goal that beat us was conceded in stoppage time, and the goal that London City scored to win their game was also in stoppage time as well.
Yeah.
And there's something about...
just a little thank you to the club and to Kissimmee.
Oh, yes, for your sloth.
As we had,
Claire was in hospitality.
Yeah, some of us. I don't know who they opened it up to, but I know when we went to the Liverpool game on the coach, we all got given like a little leaflet to enter a competition, and if you won, you got hospitality. And yes, some of us did. So, and they gave us these little goodie bags, and look, there was all sorts of stuff in it. Useful stuff. Useful. Little lip balm.
Very nice.
Very fancy. Very nice. So yeah, it was very nice. Had a lovely breakfast. View from the, if you wanted to, you could have just sat in there and watched the game. Probably would have been more better atmosphere, but there we go. It was good. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Yeah, good old Kissimmee.
Excellent.
Well done.
Yeah.
I think it's only Abby was away, of course, but she also won. I think Mother attended in her absence. So it's only Ben who hasn't won hospitality.
Your turn now, Ben. You got to actually enter them, though, Ben. You got to enter.
Yeah, so we've got to write that wrong at some point.
I like a prawn sandwich as well.
I know they don't do prawn sandwiches in there though.
It was a delicious breakfast. That's all. I
was speaking to Lucy in the terrace beforehand, and she sort of promised to throw me a vol au vent, but that never happened either.
Yeah, no vol au vents either. Not a lot of throwing food. Full stop. If I remember rightly.
But back on the late goal story. That obviously we were denied a point by a late goal, and London City obviously got their win with a stoppage time goal. And this last few weeks, there's been something about goals in stoppage time that obviously yesterday our men's team was playing away at Leeds, and they were beaten by a 94th minute goal, something bizarre like that, after absolutely hammering Leeds. But again, just like the girls, the boys can't score either. And obviously at Man United we were denied by a 94th minute goal. We were denied the win. But I did say earlier on, and I will, I wouldn't swap any of those goals for our 95th minute winner last
against
weekend.
Liverpool. Yeah,
so, I mean, like I said, the point. We lost this game, but who cares? We won the one last week, and that's the most important goal of the season. Basically.
Absolutely, it's the swings and roundabouts of football, isn't it? It's why we love it. Breaks our heart sometimes, but sometimes it gives us the best feeling in the world. So
I think, again, I mean, we said last week that and you mentioned that had we won, we would have got 29 points, which is one more than last year, which would have been a record, and we would have been top half. But we're in the FA blinking Cup final. I would have.
If it's either or, you take the FA Cup final, don't you?
It's sort of, as long as we don't get relegated, we're in the FA Cup final.
Yeah. There's not really any extra. There's probably a little bit extra prize money, but nothing too major, I should imagine, between 7th and 6th. So yes, we'll definitely take it that way round. So we are going to let's talk about our fan awards next, because we were very privileged after the game to be able to present the fan award for Fans Player of the Season to Kiko Seiki. Obviously, everyone was a little bit, there was a little bit of a melancholic malaise after the game, but Kiko was very happy to come over. She seemed excited. First thing she did was basically look at the trophy and go, "That's me."
It's got my name on it. It was very sweet.
Which is just, which
very
is awesome.
Sweet.
And we all remember last season when she got our trophy, a bit less glamorous, but and she was showing it to everyone. So hopefully she went and showed that to everyone when she got back in the changing rooms. So yeah, big congratulations to Kiko for winning Fans Player of the Season. And the club, did a good job getting us there, able to present it at the stadium. So that was nice. I think there's a few things that we wish probably could have gone on a little bit better. We were supposed to be, I think, on the big screen, which I don't think we achieved in the end. And I think obviously if we'd have won, the whole thing might have been a little bit more, we might have had a little bit more time. We might have been a little bit more exciting. But it kind of was what it was. So
yeah,
no, a big thank you to the club, big thank you to Tom in support services, big thank you to Millie for bringing Kiko over. A couple of teething problems, but no issues there at all. Just hopefully this is the first thing of many future things that we're able to do with the club, awards and things like that. So it was good to get the foot in the door, bit of experience, and then hopefully next time we'll be all that bit more prepared.
It's always lovely to meet Kiko, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I think by that time pretty much everybody else had gone in. I think there might have been a couple still signing things, but virtually there'd been a bit of a sort of a come over, clap the fans and then go.
Yeah.
So I think probably Kiko basically was
had to rescue her from somewhere
as well. Yeah. So but it was lovely. I mean, Kiko's gorgeous. So it was it was really nice to meet her and things. And
yeah, absolutely. And we should have some photos at some point. I'm pretty sure the photographer got there a bit quicker than the videographer, so that might be why we'll have a few photos, but maybe the video might not be quite there. But we'll see what comes through once it's been cleared by media. But hopefully that'll be something we can use on the SheGulls website, a nice big banner of us and Kiko. That would be pretty cool. So we are, as I say, we are going to do our own awards show kind of at the end of the season, where we'll have sort of probably different categories, might have a sort of few weird ones and fun ones and stuff like that. So and as before, we'll probably kind of do that thing where we all kind of take, maybe not all of us, but maybe we'll do like one-on-ones. Maybe it'll be me versus Ben for one, or Claire versus Ben for one, or whatever. We'll see how it goes. But these were all voted for by the fans, and obviously fans also contributed to having the trophies made. So it was actually Claire, which worked out quite well, who contributed to the Player of the Season trophy. So that was good because you actually got to give it to her.
Worked out all right.
Exactly. So the next award, I'll alternate between the two of you and ask you what you think. How about that? So I'll go to Claire on this one next. So the Iron Woman Award was voted for again by the fans. So this was essentially for the player who has appeared consistently, shown leadership, given their all. I mean, all the players give their all, but just that kind of outstanding level, of kind of team ethic, really. And that was won by Maisie Simons. So congratulations to her. And Caitlin, I must admit, Caitlin Hayes was a very close second. But talk a little bit about how important Maisie is in terms of her, just the fact that she kind of is an ever present in the side.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's her first season as captain as well, isn't it? So I think that's a role she's grown into. I think at the beginning of the season, maybe kind of not nervous, but it just took a little while, I think, for her to really gain her confidence in it. And now I think she's properly there, and she's really, yeah, I mean, sometimes she sticks her foot in, don't she? And you're like, oh, what? That's a tackle.
Mm.
I mean, even the goal that Spurs scored the other day, you know, the way she was getting that ball out from under her feet. Any other day, she kicks that out and that doesn't hit a Spurs player, and you're like, oh my God, that was amazing.
Yeah,
you know, she's very, very good at that. And yeah, she's gonna be leading her team out at Wembley. I mean, how cool is that in your first season as captain of the club? You know, well done, mate. Yeah,
it's her dream, and that was
it's those were dreams, but not those, very many people get to do it.
Those were her words, not mine. So that's good. And it was one of the Albion supporters, Wendy Beach Ward, who helped us out with that trophy. So all the other awards, except for the one that we were able to present, have gone to the club. So would like to think they'll be passed on to the players accordingly. They did have like our details and stuff on them, and of course they had on the actual trophy the person who kind of contributed to make that trophy. So hopefully over the next sort of coming few days and stuff, might see a few more of these coming out of the woodwork, and maybe a few little videos featuring them or whatever. We'll just have to see what happens, but we've done what we can at least anyway, so hopefully that's well on its way to Maisie. Ben, the next fan voted award was debut season, which went to Chia Nadozi. I think she pretty much blew away the competition, to be fair. In that one, she was pretty close, I think, to player of the season, you know, even in her first year. So yeah, Ben, give us your thoughts on sort of Chia's debut campaign.
I mean, what can you say? I mean, you know, I think there was sort of something that I think part of the reason that she didn't win the player of the season is because we knew exactly what she was going to be like, and she just lived up to all our expectations and was unbelievable. You know, it's not without its eventfulness. You know, I think she, you know, we have said she's cost us a couple of goals, but she's saved us about 25,000. You know, coming out and stuff has resulted in a bit of a mess occasionally, but most of the time she's just magnificent. She's wonderful. She's amazing. And you know, yeah, it's just, you know, superlatives all over the place. You know, I think I think the sort of the European bias was the only reason. I'm not going to say racism, but I'm going to say European bias, because you know, most of the other goalkeepers, I think, in contention for last year's Yashin award were, you know, from European countries, as it were. You know, I think it was, obviously Hannah Hampton won it, and she and Katakoy was in there and stuff like that. And obviously being this African keeper, even though she was playing at Paris, meant that maybe there weren't so many eyes on her, so she didn't get the recognition. But you know, she's just unbelievable. She's the best keeper in the world, and we're so lucky to have got her. And you know, we'll be so lucky to hold on to her for much longer.
Yeah.
But if anyone comes and tries to take her off us, it will cost them a hell of a lot of money. But yeah, she's just been fantastic, and you know, and such fun. I think Abby was saying last week that her mum was saying that, you know, after being, she had a bit of a, you know, personally she had a bit of a shaky start to her time there because she felt lonely and things. Although, you know, that did confuse me slightly because she'd lived in Paris, and obviously the language would be better here because, you know, Nigeria is English speaking. But yeah, I mean, and she just the dancing after the cup, after the cup semi-final, she's wonderful.
Yeah, that felt like a sort of a seminal moment, didn't it? I mean, I'm sure over the course of the season she's felt more and more integrated into the squad, but that was kind of like the big coming out party of like, no, I'm here, I'm Brighton, and you know, I'm embracing it, sort of thing. I just want to put on the record, Chia, if you're ever at a loose end, you're very welcome to come and have a cup of coffee and a chat with any of us. I'm sure we'll all drop whatever we're doing. If you feel a bit lonely, come and have a chat. Honestly, we'll make time. And that award was actually sponsored. It was contributed to
I kind of like sponsored by. I think that's
sponsored by. I mean, that's kind of what it was, really.
Yeah.
By Joe Davis. I think this might be a good opportunity as we're talking about awards,
Slight segue.
and we've talked about Joe Davis. You know, our I forget what title we bestowed upon her. Honorary board member, I think it might be.
President.
Honorary something, because obviously, you know, basically, if you know us, you almost certainly know Joe. And if not, I'll point her out next time, because you need to. If you don't, then you need to. Joe is incredible, obviously an ex-Albion player, so generous with her time. She's full bore, all about the women's team. She goes out and supports the men's team virtually in her spare time, which is incredible in and of itself, because she always seems to be doing something for the women's team. So that's incredible. But basically, we're talking about her, and we're talking about awards, because earlier on tonight, she has won the official WSL Fan of the Year award. Big clap for Joe.
Well done, Joe.
Well done, Joe. Very, very, very well deserved.
I just literally watched it on Instagram, because there is a clip.
Oh, there is a clip. Okay,
getting it. So yeah,
I might get a bit choked up.
It gets you a little bit emotional.
Yeah,
a little bit emotional.
Yeah, we're all very invested in Joe, just as she's invested in us. In fact, you know, some people might remember, if they're long time listeners, that I actually went with Joe last year, because she was nominated last year, but unfortunately she didn't win. Maybe that was because of me. I don't know, because I'm not there this time, and she's won. So, you know, it could just be as simple as that. But I would gladly sit by and stand down, you know, for her to win the award. It's absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, dropping you out and taking Lucy was the option for her.
That was the clincher, I think. You know? Yeah. So
jinx, mate. That's it.
We'll let everyone know when the open top parade starts. I think maybe from the dome to the pier or something like that.
I think we should do it. That would be hilarious.
Just along the seafront.
Abby's got a sunroof.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
we'll chuck Joe out through the sunroof.
Put Joe out there with her trophy.
And a sash.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But she has got to make sure she doesn't nudge that button in the middle of Abby's car that turns it from one driving.
Or nudge Abby, because you'll get told off for that as well. Or nudge
Abby, yeah, exactly. So you got to be careful. You got to watch what you're doing. Basically, is what we're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah. Massive congratulations to Joe. We're also thinking about coming up with some sort of chant for Wembley, you know, Fan of the Year, you'll never sing that, something along those lines. So if you've got any ideas, do send them in on a stamped addressed envelope. That's showing my age, isn't it? Postal order. Yeah. Remember when Joe didn't know what a postal order was? That was fun. Or was it a cassette, or did he pretend not to?
I think there's several things Joe didn't know what we were talking about. Different Joe.
Different Joe, of course. Producer Joe.
Davis, yeah.
I mean, Joe Davis remembers LPs and all that sort of stuff as well. Bless her heart.
Joe Davis remembers the gramophone. What are you talking about?
Oh, I love it. She remembers them pianos where they have the little winder thing on
them. Accordions, yeah.
There we go. Yes,
Joe.
A career well deserved and recognised. Yes, thank you, Joe. Okay, so we've got 2 more awards. We have Moment of the Season. This was actually done by us, mainly because it's hard to choose a moment of the season when you potentially haven't had that moment of the season. Because I think if we win the FA Cup, it would be hard to argue that isn't the moment of the season. Yeah. So essentially, we decided that one by panel, which was we just kind of termed it the FA Cup run. So just the whole thing, you know, whether we win or lose in the final, just the whole thing has been an incredible moment for the whole club and for the fan base.
At the moment, specifically, that moment came in the 95th minute.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Up until then, it would have been probably Maddie's first goal at Arsenal.
I think it might be an honorary mention for Noodle.
Yeah, Noodle gets a mention. I'm kind of hoping Nadine gets to go home with it. But then again, if there's one goal in the final to us and that's scored by someone, then maybe they deserve it. I don't know. They can decide. They can decide between them.
Share it. They can get a month with each.
Yeah, exactly.
12 of them can have it for a month.
Yeah, that'll work. I'm sure.
Yeah.
And that one, that award was sponsored by Matt. Now I'm gonna sound ignorant here, but I think, is it pronounced Lay or Lee?
I would say Lay.
Lay. I think it's Lay. So yes,
Lay.
sorry.
Well, Matt can always let us know.
Matt can always let us know, of course.
Wrong. We can correct it next week.
Exactly. But thank you very, very much, Matt. And to all of our trophy sponsors, collaborators, presenters, whatever you want to call yourselves. There was one more award. We sponsored this one, which I think was only the right thing to do, really. So SheGulls funded this award, which was the Rado Vidicic Breakthrough Player Award. So this was fan voted, but it was essentially for an academy player who had made at least one WSL, or not one WSL, one first team appearance this season. So it was the likes of Tahira Heron, Emily Gay, Taylor Warren, I think, was there, and I can't remember the fourth one, so that's really bad. But yes, it was Tahira Heron who took the award, again reasonably comfortably. I must admit, she did looked a real talent when she was playing, and she might have got more game time over the course of the end of the season, but for the injuries she sustained. I think, was it in the Charlton game?
Yeah,
it was in like the last one, wasn't it? Yeah. So I think other than that, she may have featured at least on the bench a few more times. So obviously one of the reasons why we wanted to do that one was because it is in memory of Rado. And he was obviously very involved in the Women and Girls Academy and bringing that young talent through. And I think that had been a passion. Speaking to Dario, that was a passion of Rado's throughout his life, was bringing through that talent. So it always felt like that would be a good award to kind of have in his name, to commemorate his legacy. So hopefully that makes its way to Tahira, and we look forward to seeing more of all the girls, but Tahira in particular, winner of this award next season. So
absolutely.
Okay, so that's the fan voted awards out of the way, as I say, and a little bonus one in the middle there for Joe. We're going to go on to our bold predictions. So these were it was actually Joe, producer Joe, just to confuse everyone again. Producer Joe was there at the beginning of the season, but Abby wasn't. Abby hadn't joined us at that point. So maybe we'll have to transfer Joe's predictions over to Abby. So
prediction.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Abby can do it all on his behalf.
Exactly. Yeah, she can take all the credit or none of the backlash, basically. These were basically predictions we came up at the beginning of the season, and the kind of caveat behind them is they have to be. We kind of agree between ourselves, don't we, whether they're kind of bold enough.
Yeah.
I know infamously Ben said that he thought there'd be news on the stadium last season, and then I made it a bit bolder by saying that it would be before Christmas. And it wasn't actually before the next Christmas, as it so turned out. Maybe, to be honest, I don't know if I specified which Christmas. So I'm
you're not getting away with that one.
Just saying. So some of these might be a bit outlandish. Some of them might actually turn out to be true. Some of them I may have to get whoever is quickest on the keyboard to find out for me whether they have happened or not. But on my board, Claire is first. So we're going to go with your ones first, Claire.
Go on then.
Okay. This is probably one, it didn't go so well. Michelle Adjumang is WSL top scorer or Golden Boot winner. And Golden Boot winner.
Did I say that?
According to my record.
I mean, to be fair, that could have been. It's not my fault.
A lot of these things could have been.
In the middle, I could not have predicted that. I never would have predicted that either, because that would have felt like jinxing something. But yeah,
I think that was a proper bold prediction. I think, yeah. I mean, it was very much in the spirit of bold prediction.
Bunny Shaw, Michelle Adjiman, I was a bit,
Yeah, they're not dissimilar.
My girl, isn't it? She was in our team.
Yeah, she was always going to be the focal point, wouldn't she?
Always going to be optimistic. Go on.
Who knows?
What's the next one?
Okay, so the next one is we are a top 4 team at Christmas.
We weren't that far off it.
I'm trying to think where we were at Christmas this year.
Nowhere near it.
I think we were 7th or 8th.
Yeah, nowhere near.
Game week 11, we were 7th at Christmas.
See, Ben's the stats guy. Okay, so that one didn't go quite well. Let's go for the last one. Now, this one, it had a chance of happening because it ended up being a bit more niche than probably thought it was. But we win every game we play at the AMEX.
Ooh.
So actually, we only ended up playing 2 games at the AMEX.
So close.
Yeah, that was quite bold at the time. But if you'd have known it was only 2 games, it probably wouldn't have seemed as bold.
No.
But now we're revisiting it. We know it didn't happen anyway. So there we go.
Oh, well.
But it started off, right up until this weekend. It was looking good.
I was on for it, yeah.
Absolutely.
5-3 aggregate score, though. So,
Yeah, I mean, if you look at it like that, yeah.
Yeah, true.
That's, there's a small bit of consolation there. So I make that 0 for 3. Okay, so we've got Ben's next.
Oh.
Maisie Simons gets her first England cap.
Well,
was close, but
Serena announces the England squad tomorrow.
But the games are after the end of the season.
Well, are they after the end of the season? They're after the WSL season, but then the FA Cup final is after the end of the WSL season as well, isn't it?
I'm saying it's after the end of the season.
They're not before the start of next season, so
true.
But I'm not entirely confident because I don't suppose.
I mean, it'd be a lovely surprise.
Couple of months.
Yeah, it'd be a lovely surprise, but I think we've just got used to being disappointed. So we're now.
More chance of Chia being called up by Serena, I think.
Would if she could. Flaming heck. Right now, Ben, here's another one. Your second one is another one that up until this weekend looked like it could be on. Brighton in the season on a positive goal difference. So close.
Man.
Literally, if we'd won that game.
The 81st minute yesterday.
Yeah. This game buggered us, didn't it?
It really did.
This game scuppered us. Yeah.
It really did. I mean, that's got to be the closest you can get to being right, pretty much. With a bold prediction where it could be a prediction about absolutely anything. That's got to be about as close as you can get without actually, hitting the nail on the head. So, yes, I'd love to give you a point for effort, but I'm not going to, even though I make the rules. And the third one, not dissimilar to Claire's Christmas version, but you went for Brighton will finish 4th in the WSL this season. So not quite. But had things gone a different way at different points of the season, you never know. But yeah, hopefully next season. We'll see if you make the same prediction next season. So that's 0 for 3 as well. Now here is Joe / now Abby's predictions. Yeah. Number 1, we get 4 AMEX games this season.
Half right.
No. Although if that had been the prediction, we don't have it this year, but we have it next year, would have worked. but no. Second prediction: Dario wins WSL Manager of the Season. If we'd have sneaked up to 5th somehow, I would have had more of a shout. I think. Yeah. Given everything that's gone on.
Has been nominated.
Yeah. So, but he's our manager of the season, isn't he?
Absolutely.
So there we go. Now this is one that we are going to have to wait and see. So this will take us right up to the last game of the season, because Joe/Abby's final prediction was Albion win a domestic cup. So that is 0 out of 2.
Bold, and it's
to be confirmed.
We want it to happen. We want it to happen.
We want it to happen. Right, now this is where I'm going to test the stats.
Thing is, do we? I mean, winning the FA Cup would be great, but do we want? I mean, that means Abby wins, doesn't it?
Abby and Joe win.
You know,
do
we want that?
Now you've said that.
Well, we could just look. We've got rid of Joe. We could chuck Abby off.
Yeah.
Right. If she wins and she gets a bit gloaty, we'd just chuck her off.
You know what she'd think about that. She's humming and hawing.
No, I absolutely want Abby to win this one.
Yes,
absolutely.
That would be lovely.
I will take a defeat in the bold predictions. If
to make it happen.
That's fine by me.
Absolutely.
I think Joe last year predicted that we'd win the FA Cup.
I think he did, yeah.
And I think we talked about the fact that it's easier to win the FA Cup than it is to win the League Cup because of the way they stack it against you. Although obviously next season, because the Champions League teams won't be in it, it'll be different. But yeah, although having said they stack it against you in the League Cup, they also stacked it against us in the FA Cup, and we still got to the final.
That's very true. That is very true. Yeah. Right, Ben, I'm going to need you for a couple of stats on this one. These are my predictions. So there's one that I'm almost 100% certain I got wrong, which is a current or former Lioness that isn't on the team at time of recording, which I think was a week or two before the end of the transfer window, makes at least 5 appearances for the club this season. So that's a... Now, the other 2 are possibles, but I don't know 100%. I think number 1 I nailed. Kiko Seiki has more goal involvements than Fran Kirby.
That's true.
So I'm 1 for 3.
I think she's got 7 or 8 goals and 3 or 4 assists.
Well, Kiko's got 11 goals altogether.
Yeah, if you're counting cup games as well.
Yeah, 8 in the WSL, 1 in the FA Cup, 2 in the League Cup, and Fran has 3 in the WSL, 3 in the FA Cup.
And what about assists?
Oh no, sorry, that was assists. Kiko's got 2 and 1 assist. So Kiko's got 3 assists and 11 goals. Fran has got 4 goals and 6 assists. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's not actually as far apart as I thought it might be. Oh, so okay. Well, that probably it wasn't the boldest prediction ever, but you know, just.
But that's why Kiko's the player of the season, though, isn't it? Because
yes, well, yeah, exactly, because she excelled.
Because she was amazing last year, and she's been incredible this season. So,
yeah. She certainly didn't have that kind of dip that she had in the middle of last season, where she was finding herself on the bench and stuff. Now I think she's nailed on as a starter, assuming she's fit and there. You know, then she's going to start. So, and here's the other one. Now I'm thinking I probably got this wrong, but I think it might be. It probably wasn't for the want of me not having faith in this actual player, but. Chiamaka Nnadozie keeps a clean sheet in at least 3 of the 8 games against the Big 4. I'm not sure she kept any clean sheets against the top 4. I could be wrong.
She let 2 in against City. 2.
Well, I mean, Arsenal in the FA Cup.
I think I must have been thinking WSL because I said 8
1
games.
Against Arsenal at home, 1 against 1 away.
2 against City, 1 against Arsenal.
Man United, we drew
Chelsea.
1-1 and lost 2-1, I think. And Chelsea beat us 3-0 and 2 something. So I think she didn't get any clean sheets in those. I think she got 8 clean sheets in total.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. When I was thinking about the bold predictions, I thought that was what I had predicted, either 6 or 8 clean sheets for Chia. But I obviously went more. I obviously went
proper bold.
Yeah, proper bold that she would do it against the top teams. Yeah. But that was my faith in Chia, you see.
Yeah.
And I think that's been repaid. Yeah. So I only got 1 right out of the 3, but you know, I think as with Ben's close one, you know, it's like it wasn't for the lack of faith in what the prediction was trying to get at effectively.
So we definitely need Abby to get that point then.
Yeah. Otherwise,
you won it, and then we can't have that.
Yeah. No, that wouldn't be. That feels like it's a fix. Yes. So we will do. Yeah. Maybe we'll do some bold predictions for the FA Cup. Maybe we'll save it for the WSL season or whatever. We'll one way or another we'll do some more bold predictions at some point, because it's always fun to look back and see what the hell was I thinking about that, or oh, actually I was onto something there. So it's always a bit of a laugh. Ben, did you want to close us out with the loan report? And before you do,
Ben on the ball, Ben on the mic, talking women's football every day, every night, from the first big tackle to the last late goal. Ben's got the game, Ben's got the soul.
It's really the only video we can play this week, so we had to squeeze that in there for all our jingle listeners. But obviously we said last week the WSL 2 is done, but we've got a few.
I suppose following on from the WSL 2 thing, the sad news is that obviously it's that time at the end of the season where players leave and players are released from the academy, and obviously our little Evie Milner, who we've been rooting for all season, was out at Portsmouth, and she's actually. Well, again, you never really quite know the circumstances of why she's leaving, whether she's not been offered a contract or whether she's been offered something else elsewhere. Because I think, she was getting really good minutes at Pompey, so I think she's a good enough player to get into a team somewhere. So hopefully that's the story. And I think May Bauman might have been released as well. And as Charlie points out in the comments, Nelly Guest has been released. So it's always a bit sad. Not everybody makes it up into the first team, but as you look around the leagues, and there's plenty of former Albion Academy players in teams, and they're doing very well for themselves. Again, like I said, there's a fair few at Lewis, and obviously Liv Carpenter went from Lewis to Watford mid-season, and she's going to be a WSL 2 next season. So best wishes to all the girls that leave the academy. We still know you're very talented footballers, and you'll make your way in the sport somehow. So
absolutely.
Best of luck. So moving on. Obviously, the Scottish season is still going, and Rangers beat Celtic 4-0 at the weekend. But Jess Pegram spent the entire game on the bench, and I am wondering whether she did take a knock in that game a couple of weeks ago, that she went off at half time because she didn't feature. She wasn't even on the bench last weekend, so maybe they're sort of bringing her back and don't want to risk doing too much. So, and obviously they've got one last game against Glasgow City, and they've still got a chance of winning the title because Hearts drew at the weekend, and so Hearts have got to win next weekend to win I think Hearts need a point, but Rangers need to win and Hearts need to lose. So it'd be nice if Jess could get herself a medal at the end of the season, and then obviously another chance of a medal. The Scottish Cup final is on the same day as the English Cup final, and they've got Celtic in that as well, so they ought to win that. I think it's Celtic. Anyway. Yes. Anyway, so across the sea to our two girls in Stockholm. Livia Garcia, after her brace last weekend, she got the winner for AIK against Piteo. They won 2-1. It was sort of, I can't remember, they took AIK took the lead quite early, equaliser, and this one I recommend. If you go onto it's AIK Football Dam, I think is the name of the Instagram account. And there's videos around as well. There's a sort of behind the goal Instagram thing. It's an absolute scorcher, left foot just outside the box, top bins. And again, slightly less impressed with that than her tap in last week, because tap ins is what we need. But if you're going to score top bins, then carry on. So nice. And actually, she sort of might have injured her foot in the first half. She sort of swung for a shot and somebody nicked the ball, and I think she kicked the bottom of someone's heel. Because after she scored that goal, she was sort of limping on her scoring foot, but she didn't go off or anything, so I think it's hopefully okay. And sticking in Stockholm, having unfortunately been beaten in the Europa Cup final by Häcken, Melina's Hammarby beat Häcken 1-0 in the Swedish Cup final. So we have at least one cup winner in the squad, and she was actually player of the match, which is quite extraordinary. Again, I mean, some big old. I think sort of towards the end of the 90 minutes, because it was 1-0. Sort of, I think they scored in the second period of extra time, but towards the end of 90 minutes, Melina made 3 really big saves to sort of keep them in it, whatever. And yeah, they went on to win, and so wow. And I recommend watching that match actually. Yeah, some great stuff from Melina and things, but basically Felicia Schroeder basically kneeing Alice Carlson in. If it was in men's football, Alice Carlson would have stayed down a lot longer, I would say. And it's one of those things that, I mean, she didn't even get a yellow for it. It was a really dodgy follow through, and she was getting a bit kicky in that game. But yeah, it's kind of real, kind of eye-watering moment. So yeah, that was great. As I say, Melina doing so well for herself there that I hope she doesn't forget where we are. But yeah, great stuff.
Absolutely. And I was just looking up the on sale dates for the FA Cup, and on the front page of the Albion sort of news section at the moment is the fact that the under 16s won the PGA Cup final. So obviously we spoke before about the would have been the under 19s, I think, wouldn't it? Where they unfortunately lost to Birmingham. But they did the under 16s did win the under 16 equivalent. So massive congratulations to them, and hopefully again another lot of talents in the pipeline to come through, hopefully over the next few years. So especially as we build towards a new stadium, of course. So yeah, big congratulations to them. Yeah, just a quick word on the FA Cup. Obviously, we're not covering it in this episode per se, but just to say that as of right now, women's season ticket holders from last year, this year, men's season ticket holders, 1901 members, My Albion Plus members who have attended at least one women's match, and no, that's it. Sorry, that's it. All of those can buy tickets as we speak. And tomorrow at 10 a.m, so Tuesday, as of recording at 10 a.m, women's season ticket holders and 2 guests can book. So I think Ben is booking in that window. Yeah. Wednesday it will be the kind of men's season ticket holders 1901 My Albion who have a women's purchase history. So if they've purchased women's tickets in the past, then it goes to the same group again, but with 2 guests. And then finally on Friday the 22nd at 10 a.m, they will go on general sale. So I would suspect that if you want to sit in a particular place or area or near people, you'll want to get on there, if you can, ahead of the general sale, because that is when I feel like the majority of seats are going to start going like hotcakes. So yes, if you are in any of those groups and you can get on there in advance of the general sale, then it's best to do so. There is travel being put on by the club through SheGulls Travel. So unlike normally where it's done through Spirit of Sussex and SheGulls Travel are kind of collaborating in this case. So if you head to the normal SheGulls Travel website or just go through the club's booking site for tickets, there's a link there to book the coach, and you can jump on one of the official coaches. And obviously, if you want to know about trains, parking, anything like that, head over to the actual Wembley website, and they've got all that set up on there, all the links and everything. So if you'd rather not go by coach, or it's a little bit too expensive, if you're going as a family, whatever, you want to go via an alternate route, then head over to the Wembley website, and they've got all the information you need, as well as things like the bag policy and flag policy and things like that a lot of fans will find very useful. Anything else I've forgotten to mention? I'm trying to think. I don't think so. No, I think that's everything. As I say, we'll do a big FA Cup episode next week where we'll sort of talk about everything in more depth. and hopefully everyone will join us for that one. So yeah, I think in that case, it's a rare under 2-hour episode for us. I think mainly because we haven't had Abby, and that's not to say she does 20 minutes of worth of talking, but it's
She
just one
does.
extra person, isn't it?
She does do a lot of
to go
talking.
round. Yes.
That's why we got her on here.
Bless her heart.
Ooh, I was going to say, did you pick up an extra program?
I did,
and we need someone to get in contact with us so we can get them to him. Can't
we do. So yes, River, if you're hearing this first, ask your mum to check her Instagram DMs, and we have a little something we'd like to send to you. So if you hear this before she checks her Instagram DMs, then yeah, give her a little nudge, get her to check them, and we'll hopefully be able to send something your way. So look out for that. We like to do a good deed for one of our big fans, so that would be lovely if we can get that sorted out. Yeah, and I think that's going to round off this week's show. Remember, you can find us at SheGulls on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it, and of course Instagram, run by a friend of the podcast, Steve Gibbs, who I don't think is going to be able to make it for the final, but if he could, then I'm sure he would. So you never know. You never know. You can find us at SheGulls.com, of course, where you'll find all the match recaps and news and everything like that. Just posted up the match review for the Spurs game. Little bit shorter than normal because I didn't want to dwell on some of the things that I may have dwelled on if we had another few WSL games to come. Also, I've posted up today like a big thank you to lots of people. Fans and staff members and things like that. So if you're listening to this and you're interested in reading that, then that's on there as well. Just kind of an end of the season big thank you to everyone who's helped with SheGulls over this past season and beforehand. We are obviously on Facebook. If you search for us there, it is SheGulls Podcast. And whilst you're there, do give Brighton Women fans a follow for your more sort of regular Albion chat. So I think all that remains for me to say is a massive thank you to you, Ben.
A massive thank you to you.
A gigantic thank you to you, Claire.
Back at you.
And no thanks to Abby, who has left us high and dry and gone on holiday, left us in the lurch. But she's been here in spirit.
Floating around the Highlands of Scotland, if
exactly.
You spot her.
Bless her heart. She'll be back soon, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And for that, we thank her as well, of course. And I shall say this has been the SheGulls podcast, powered by Albion Obsessed.
Night, River.
Good night.